Hello, this is Victor from RestoreYourMercedes.com, and this video is for Bob in Illinois, a repair shop in Illinois. Now this is the first part of the video, Bob. I just wanted to show you what I found, because these things really drove me nuts, both of these units, but I got it, so they work now. I tested them out on the car without being assembled yet. Well, you know, I just temporarily put motors in and all that, so they do work. Okay, so problem number one, the driver's side. This is the one with the linkage. I know the major concern was the one without the linkage, but the one with the linkage actually seemed to actually have a bad motor, which is right here. Now the motor is obviously nowhere to be found, so you can't really just go out there and just buy this motor. Now what I did here is that it seemed to be okay in terms of like cleanness and all that. I didn't see a lot of gunk inside. Brushes moved good. There was lots of axial play though, the axial play on the shaft, and I basically flipped the piece over here upside down to lessen the wear. You know, put the piece backwards, the sleeve. It's supposed to be bearing like in newer motors. If I have one here, well, you can't really see this one, but maybe this one we can see. Oh yeah. Alright, so this is the newer motor from the V8 model, and as you can see, the Mercedes started to put, Bosch started to put bearings, whereas yours, being a 93, does not have a bearing. It has a sleeve. It's like a bushing kind of, and it's a soft material, so it worn out a little bit, so I flipped it. That's one thing. Now next thing is I had to remove the actual gear to get the armature out. And what I found on it is that the armature, the pieces on the armature, the contacts, they were worn out, just like a bad rotor on brakes, you know, would have grooves in it. So the brushes were also worn out to a point where they would make limited contacts. So I had to grind that all down to make it smooth again, and also grind down some brushes to make them smooth also. So now there's perfect contact. And pressed the gear back on, and it stopped making this high-pitched squealing sound and slowing itself down. So that is basically that was the resolution with this motor, and now it's fine. So that's the driver's side situation here. Other than that, I didn't touch the potentiometer. I left it alone. I'm going to clean the shaft here, put the gear with new grease on it, some lithium grease, and off it goes. Now the passenger side. Now this thing actually was kind of puzzling, because you mentioned that potentiometer, that you worked on it a little bit. So long story short, I had to replace the whole damn thing. The potentiometer, this is my part. Here's your part right here. This is your part right here. So it twitches on idle. I didn't really see big issues with it except for idle. It actually makes throttle plate jump. It would just like sit here on idle, and it would just jump up and down slightly. The motor, the gear, you can see the motor would sit on idle, and it will be like jumping really fast, like twitching, like zzz, like left and right, trying to catch that position. So I had to remove the shaft. The spring is something out of this world to put back. There's a spring behind here. This is 93 unit. The spring is really strong. All these bolts are thread locked, so you had to break the thread lock. Springs shoot out like a bullet, so then you put it back together, tighten it up, put these bolts back on thread locks, and then on the shaft there is a pin that you have to press out so you can get the shaft out. Before taking the shaft out, you have to grind down the bolts, the backs of these bolts, so you can remove these bolts, take the plate out, remove the whole shaft with these levers. These are the ones that engage inside the potentiometer sliders, and once it's all removed, then I could have taken the potentiometer out, unsolder it, put another piece in here. As you can see, this is a different design, slightly different design. This was from driver's side with the linkage actually, and this is a little, I believe this is a 95 potentiometer, as yours is has little pins, yeah, like little balls. As you can see, the switch contacts are different. The good news is that it does not matter for the passenger side, because in 95, actually this is a 94 then, because in 95, the last year of production, they completely eliminated this switch, so it's not even connected in circuit there, it's just not even connected. So it doesn't matter, but potentiometer is what you need. 2 potentiometers is what you need to read correctly, and that does read now. And no more abrupt movements of the throttle plate or the motor. It works really good. So this potentiometer, the one that you had, I couldn't really see like obvious problems with it, except for some wear at idle contacts. I probably won't be able to catch it on camera because they're underneath, you know, they're like right under there, and I'm not going to break the case just to get to them. You can take this off, you know, the top portion of the case, but to take it off you gotta take the ring out. When you take the ring out, you break these tabs. Once you break these tabs, it basically renders it the potentiometer useless. So I can't really, I don't want to do it, that's all. So I'm basically gonna put it in my parts bin, and whenever I need it, I'll just need it. So that's what happened here. Potentiometer replaced on this side, cleaned up. The motor on the passenger side was okay. It was moving freely, did not make any squealing sounds. So this thing was okay. And of course, both of these units were rebuilt previously, but you know, they didn't do anything with internals, just replaced wires and called it a day. And theoretically on 93 units, that's all that is needed. But in your case, this is a rare case where other things needed to be done. Rather, they failed. So as you can see, there's still a sticker there. I didn't touch that. Okay, so the sticker is still here. But this is what I found, and you know, to me, once I put them back together, they'll be perfect. So we'll be just fine. And you know, we don't have to worry about these units taken off the car any longer. Now, second video I'm going to do is when I put them all back together, then I'm going to test them on my vehicle. Plug them in, show you the operation, and off they will go back to you. Well, that's about it for this video. Just wanted to show you what's happening here and what I've done, and just basically before I put them back together, so you can see what's wrong, what was wrong with them. It's a delicate work, you know, you don't really want to mess them up. I've seen units come back to me when somebody tried to work on them and they just basically become useless, non-rebuildable. In this case, nothing like this happened. So, well, potentiometer I had to replace because I don't want to have no issues with it, and might as well just already get that one in there and stop that twitching on the passenger side. Driver's side was just making a high squeal noise, and the motor would move this gear slower than it should have. It would have still worked, probably, maybe not, because the gear would slow down. You can see that the speed of the throttle plate opening would be slower than it should have been. Okay, well, that I guess concludes this first part, and the second part will be when I plug them to my vehicle, when they're all assembled and ready to go for the final test, to show that both are in sync, both were good, and ready to go for the installation on your vehicle. Alright, well, this was Victor at RestoreMercedes.com. Thanks for watching.